Good evening, everyone. This is the City of Avondale Estates Board of Mayor and Commissioners special called meeting for a public hearing to receive comment on the city's proposed millage rate of 9.55. The time is 5:39, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'm filling in for Mayor Elmore tonight. I believe he's on vacation. We have before us an agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved. Second.
Motion is approved. All in favor, say aye. Sorry. Aye. Item number 3, public hearing number 1 for the 2024 millage rate. The governing authority of the City of Avondale Estates has tentatively adopted a 2024 millage rate of 9.55 mils. In the last year, the city has seen a 4.16% rate of growth for existing properties in the gross tax digest. The city is tentatively proposing no change to the current millage rate. We are here today only to receive comment on the proposed millage rate. We will not be making statements, and if you have questions or concerns you want to share with us, please contact us at another time. Also, we would kindly ask that you limit your comments to 2 minutes. With that, is anyone here to speak in support of the proposed millage rate? Mr. Hover?
Yes, Bill Hover, 89 Berkeley Road. I do support the unchanged millage rate. I will say, despite your prior statement, that I found the notification letter very confusing, and hope that in future if there's more clarification included in the letter. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments in support of the proposed millage rate? Oh, yes, Mr. Mizell.
John Mizell. Was this this figure you're saying of the county, what the assessments are? Was this before the ones that I just got yesterday? I mean, how did you base the money, the base of the percent?
Everything is through the county and approved by the county, but can we talk after the meeting?
I can't answer that question. Just before these latest assessments came out. I just got one yesterday.
Yes.
Raising my house $142,000.
Oh.
Yes, current assessments are included in the tax digest that's informing this discussion.
Yeah. They're all.
That's what
So current as of 2023 or 2024?
2024.
Okay, so yes.
That's what he just said.
That's what I wanted.
Okay. Are there any comments online? Okay. All right, is anyone here to speak in opposition to the proposed millage rate? Lida?
Well, first I'd like to say that your 4.16% increase is not consistent with what you show on your 5-year history, which shows 11.76% increase in the taxable value of property. So that is a tax increase. You have to have value times millage to get your taxes. So that is, the tax increase is actually an average of 11.76. So I don't know how that's going to fly. But another thing that concerns me is you state here in this release that it's you need 5.77 more each year, which seems kind of high to me. But nevertheless, that's the 7.76 is more than double that amount you need for the increase in your expenses year to year. So I think that because of that, you should be able to roll back the millage rate to cover the additional expenses without raising people's taxes on average 11.76%. And you could go back a whole mill and still get 5.91%, which would be enough to cover the 5.77%. And I would, encourage y'all to do that, because over the last 5 or 6 years, Avondale has gone up 72% gross, and the rate of inflation is much lower than that. And I think we've kind of been taking it pretty hard for a number of years now, and I appreciate y'all's consideration.
Thank you for your comment. Other comments?
Oh, wow.
Liz?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to second this maybe, and I can't do the numbers in the same way that Lida does, but we're looking at massive tax increases that are really impacting especially the seniors. And in order, I mean, this part I have understood, that to cover the budget increase that you all have decided that you need, that you only need a 1 mil increase, that you need 1 mil
They
less
don't need a mill.
than excuse me, that you can reduce the current millage rate by a mil, half a mil, and still have that budget covered. And I really urge you all to think about that. I think it's a very straightforward message. This is what the budget says. It will cover it if you reduce it by this amount. And there are a lot of people who are going to be hurting with their taxes, and, you know, it would really make a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there a comment online? Karina? Stacy?
Evening, y'all. Thanks for,
Stacy.
hey, thanks for taking my comment. I guess similar to what Lida was saying, I did find the summary confusing, and I know it's in the same basic format it is next year, and y'all's hands are a little bit tied, but nonetheless, it's somewhat confusing. So I just went for simplicity and looked at the attachment, which was the digest, and got to a very similar number that Lida did. You know, and the digest going up 11.75 versus 23 versus the 416 increase in property taxes. I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but the budget that we would end up spending based on would be the overall tax digest that we're tapping into, correct? In other words, the 11.75.
That's a good question. No. Again, if we can just, if you could send us an email with any of your questions, we're not going to be addressing questions tonight. We're just taking comment.
Okay, well then my comment would be, I would assume that's what we're gonna tap into. And then I would also assume that our budget, since it's pretty much zero-based, would be to spend all of that. So in essence, what we're saying is, even though the budget's done after the millage rate, and I know we do that every year, but we're planning to spend 11.75% more. And I know that other people are going to do just like I did, like I will be doing anyway, and that is appealing because my taxes went up 25%. So I'm a little bit higher than what the average is. But even with a similar reduction, we're still planning to spend over 9% more next year. So saw the other stat that said we need X for each year to get by, but this is still in excess of that. So call it a millage rate adjustment, call it a budget adjustment, but it would appear that given property values in Avondale and DeKalb County, that we should be able to roll it back based on what our actual needs are. I guess that would be comment one. Comment two, and I know this would be a budget discussion at a later point, but we just made some pretty significant operational changes in the city. And look, I absolutely support and applaud the fact that we made them. I think they were great business decisions. So thanks, Patrick and staff, for doing that. But along with that, I have to assume that there would be some organizational discussions around how best to structure and where our costs should be for other supporting groups going forward as well. So again, I would just throw out those two comments. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Other comments in opposition to the millage rate?
Robert Vandenberg. I also wanted to express my support for rolling back the millage rate. As you already heard, everybody knows taxes have gone up exponentially on our houses, and also paired with the frustration that we have that as residents, we don't get much back on the other side. So the money keeps flowing in directions here, which, I mean, it is a national trend. But nevertheless, as Lida pointed out, the tax digest in the county is raised by up to 11.9676. It is our house up with $100,000, and we have streets that you can't drive on. My bike, it's very difficult to do. So, and at the same time, if you would roll back, you still can actually fund your budget as is, even though I have some issues I can address later on in the budget discussion later this year, but nevertheless, I think you should again consider, like last year, if it's possible, roll back, because right now, again, the residents is paying for most of the freight, the money is going somewhere else. And it's a very unfortunate trend that you as our, elected representatives should be our advocates for that. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments online? Any other comments, folks? Up there? Seeing none, I'd like to bring it back to item number 4, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye.